Hey everyone, Midits here. Today I'll be discussing and ranking the Disney-era Power Rangers series. This era of the show is very long, so I hope you'll enjoy, and let's get straight into this. Many people can probably agree on the weakest series of this era, Power Rangers Operation Overdrive. This series follows a team of 5 Rangers, with a 6th Ranger later joining the team. The main villains are two brothers, Furious and Moltor, who are trying to steal the Corona Aurora, a crown of legend. A man named Andrew Hartford then recruits a Ranger team, and despite Andrew being against it, his son Mac becomes the Red Ranger. The Operation Overdrive team saves the world and stops these villainous brothers from obtaining the crown. I'm going to be honest, this team isn't incredibly interesting. There also aren't that many big memorable episodes in this season, except I will say there are exceptions to these two things. The show starts leaving confusing hints regarding the Red Ranger Mac, and it is then revealed that he is an android created by his father. Andrew was so focused on his work that he never had the time for a family. Then, there's the big thing everyone remembers this season for, which is the 15th anniversary crossover, Once a Ranger. The Rangers fight the villain Thrax, son of Rita Repulsa and Lord Zed. He then destroys the team's connection to the morphing grid, making them powerless. The Rangers return to their base temporarily, but still decide to go back out there and fight. But the Rangers are then saved by a team called the Retro Rangers. This team consists of Adam from Mighty Morphin, and Xander, Bridge, Tori, and Kira, who we'll be talking about later on in the video. The Operation Overdrive team decides to disband since the Retro Rangers have powers and they don't. But the Retro Rangers get the help of Alpha 6 to enter the morphing grid and bring back their powers. And then the Rangers come together to defeat Thrax. This is an incredible crossover that's easily the highlight of the season, with getting to see Rangers you would never imagine together on the same team. But I will say, it is a bit sad that they massively overshadow the main team. This series is definitely on the lower part of the Power Rangers series in general. Now let's move on to the next series. Next is the series right before Operation Overdrive, Power Rangers Mystic Force. This season has a unique concept, with Rangers heavily based on magic. The team starts with 5 Rangers, and throughout the season, 3 Rangers join the team. The Rangers have to face a villain group, referred to as the Forces of Darkness, who are trying to destroy good magic and take over the universe. This is a solid team. Green Ranger Xander is very charismatic, and he would fit in basically any team. The writers must have known this too, since he's one of the Rangers who appears in Operation Overdrive. It's also interesting seeing that Blue Ranger Madison and Pink Ranger Vita are siblings, even if we've seen the dynamic before. While I don't think any episodes reach the high that is Once a Ranger, this is far more consistently good of a season, especially since the show fully submerges itself into the magical setting, and it's not just a small aspect of the story. I could say more about the show, but there are 5 series left, so let's get moving. This is when I'd say we reached the outright great series with Power Rangers SPD, and that's a good sign considering how early on we are. This series takes place in 2025 when humanity and aliens coexist on Earth. 2025, and there is a police force called Space Patrol Delta. The main team, called A Squad, disappears, and the B Squad Rangers are who we follow throughout the series. The Rangers, having to face the Trubian Empire, who use the resources from the planets they conquer to build their leader, Omni, a body. There are a ton of Rangers, but we mainly follow a team of 5, with 2 other Rangers that consistently appear throughout the series. This is a great team. All of them immediately feel special since they are the B Squad team, and they're not supposed to be the first line of defense. But I still want to highlight certain members of the team. Red Ranger Jack and Yellow Ranger Z were both criminals before joining SPD, which provides great interactions with the others early on, especially with Jack, who is still a bit rebellious and often clashes with Sky, the Blue Ranger. Green Ranger Bridge is your goofy, more comedic Ranger, which you've seen a couple times, but he is still entertaining to watch. He's also the SPD Ranger to return in Operation Overdrive. Sky takes his role super seriously as his father, a former SPD Red Ranger, died fighting a monster named Mirlock. So you could definitely see where some conflict might arise when Jack, who doesn't immediately take things as seriously, is the Red Ranger. Although of course, this changes throughout the season. This season also has great episodes, such as the 2 completely separate crossovers with Dino Thunder and the episode where Sky confronts his father's killer. It's a really fun watch, and I would 100% recommend it. I actually had this one under SPD at first, but looking at it, I decided to put it higher. That series is Power Rangers Ninja Storm. This is the first series of the Disney era, and this season shows that Disney doesn't ruin everything. The season follows a trio of students at a ninja academy who one day show up and find that the evil ninja Lothor kidnapped everyone and turned the academy's sensei into a guinea pig. He, along with his son Cam, are the only other people who haven't been captured by Lothor. So their sensei gives the 3 students ranger powers to stop Lothor's plans and save everyone who is taken. While the series does take a bit more comedic approach to Power Rangers, it's to its benefit rather than its detriment. The show manages to poke fun at itself in a way that feels like the writers care about the series. Lothor is a rather goofy villain, but just like with Rita Repulsa, he can be wacky and over the top, but still a threat to the Rangers. This series at the end follows a team of 6 Rangers, but it first starts with 3. There is Red Ranger Shane, Blue Ranger Tori, and Yellow Ranger Dustin. I honestly really enjoy 3-member Ranger teams because it allows for every character to get their time to shine. The next two Rangers, Crimson Ranger Hunter and Navy Ranger Blake, are also cool since they're two evil Rangers who eventually join Ninja Storm's side. And this is the first time that we see more than just one evil Ranger in a series. This show makes a clever move by having Cam, who filled the sort of alpha mentor's assistant role, the Green Samurai Ranger. So it feels like with this series, you get to know each Ranger very well. Unfortunately, there are no crossovers here since, with the Disney era, the show changed filming from LA to New Zealand, but it still manages to be an awesome series. This is an incredibly strong start to the era, so let's move on to the next season. While Operation Overdrive was a letdown, things were immediately back with the next series, Power Rangers Jungle Fury. There is a martial arts academy called THAT, where 3 students will be chosen to guard a sealed evil spirit named Daishi. The students are Jared, Theo, and Lily. But Jared's poor behavior leads to him being kicked from the selection, and a student named Casey takes his place. Jared then releases Daishi in his anger and is possessed by the evil being he freed. The new trio has to find a master to train them to defeat Daishi. This turns out to be RJ, the owner of a pizza place that also acts as a secret hideout. RJ hands the students ranger powers, making them the Jungle Fury Power Rangers. Just like with the series I talked about prior, I think the Power Rangers formula works exceptionally with a team of 3, and while there are technically 8 Rangers in the series, the main team is only 5. The team's mentor, RJ, becomes the Purple Ranger, and later on, a new character called Dominic, another martial artist from the same academy, becomes the White Ranger. The 3 extra Rangers are a new concept that only appears in this season, called Spirit Rangers. 3 other mentors that Casey, Theo, and Lily have in the series can summon the Spirit Rangers, but they aren't the mentors themselves in the suits. It's a cool idea, and it helps add to this show's uniqueness. This season is just consistently really good, and similarly to Mystic Force, it makes sure to focus a lot on the martial arts that the Rangers' powers are based on. One final thing I will note is the 2 main villains, Jared, who I mentioned before, and Camille, who serves Daishi. Later on in the show, Jared starts to fight Daishi's control because while he may be a bit selfish and arrogant, he doesn't want to hurt anybody. Jared frees himself and helps the Rangers stop Daishi. Camille is accused of betraying Daishi, and when she realizes that Jared cares for her far more than Daishi ever has, she decides to join Jared in helping the Rangers. The 2 of them fit into the category of characters that, while they aren't technically Power Rangers, they're part of the Jungle Fury team. Despite some behind the scenes problems we'll discuss later, this is a strong season, and now let's head on to the next series. I love this era. It is 2 of my favorite seasons of all time, and one of those 2 is Power Rangers Dino Thunder. Wild Force may have been the 10th season of the show, and Ninja Storm may have come out 10 years after Mighty Morphin's initial debut, but this series feels like an anniversary celebration of Power Rangers. This series first follows 3 teenagers with attitude, something we haven't seen since In Space. It's awesome seeing them use the classic Power Rangers formula again after such a long time with it being absent. It feels way more special that way. Just like with Jungle Fury, this team has 3 Rangers at first and 5 by the end. You have Red Ranger Connor, Yellow Ranger Kira, and Blue Ranger Ethan. One big reason people remember this season so fondly is the return of Tommy Oliver as the high school science teacher and the Rangers' mentor. He then early on in the season becomes the Black Dino Thunder Ranger, with this being the 5th power he has gotten across the series. Tommy is incredible as he always is, and while he is pivotal when it comes to the plot, I am glad that he doesn't completely overshadow the new team, as everyone gets their time to shine this season. As if this couldn't get more classic Power Rangers enough, there's an Evil Ranger storyline with the White Ranger, Trent. Trent is the adopted son of the main antagonist of the show, and he at first is against the Rangers due to his Ranger powers having evil energy that controls him. The evil in his Ranger powers is then destroyed, and Trent then joins the Dino Thunder team as the 5th Ranger. This is a super small team with only 5 members and absolutely no one else, so each Ranger feels important to the team. I also find the main villain to be quite unique. His name is Anton Mercer, Trent's adopted father, but an accident turns him into a Jekyll Hyde type character where his monster form Mesogog wants to control the world and turn it to the time of the dinosaurs. Mesogog was created by an experiment where Anton tried to combine dinosaur DNA with technology. Anton did this work with Tommy, and that's why Tommy is so connected to all of this. In this series, you get a main villain where part of him actively does not agree with his actions, and it's a lot more personal when Trent joins the team. There are quite a few great callbacks throughout the series, probably the first instance of a useful clip show episode, with the Rangers watching a video of Tommy summarizing every Power Rangers team and their stories since 1993. Kira finds a picture of the original 6 Mighty Morphin Rangers. During one episode, Tommy's in a coma after his Ranger powers are damaged, and Tommy has to fight every past version of himself, except for Turbo for some weird reason, so that he can wake up. This series has linked with so much love and care for Power Rangers, so you must be surprised that there's a show I consider better, unless you know what it is. Now let's talk about the behind the scenes stuff I mentioned earlier. Disney was done with Power Rangers. After this season, Disney released a re-edited version of Mighty Morphin instead of a new season. This season had low ratings because Disney moved it to a 5 a.m. time slot, but most importantly, it seems that Disney had very little say when it came to what was supposed to be the final season of the show. So the writers needed to step up to the plate and bring their A game, and they sure did. Honestly, Dino Thunder and this season are very close in terms of quality, but I'm giving the first place spot to Power Rangers RPM. This is the final season of the Disney era, and they sure went out with a bang. This series is an excellent blend of seriousness and self-aware comedy that never falls too far into one side. RPM takes place in an alternate timeline where nearly the whole planet has been taken over by a Skynet-like villain called Venjix. The only place on Earth that is still protected is a domed city by the name of Corinth, and the Rangers have to fight to defend the final bastion of mankind. While the show starts off with 3 Rangers, with Red Ranger Scott, Blue Ranger Finn, and Yellow Ranger Summer, Ziggy and Dylan join the team soon after as the Green and Black Rangers respectively. Then 2 more Rangers, with siblings Gold Ranger Gem and Silver Ranger Gemma, become part of the team later. The creator of Venjix and the Power Rangers to fight it, Dr. K, acts as the team's mentor. You could easily delve into every Ranger because the show goes out of its way to tell you so much about these characters. And by that, I mean there are flat out episodes that tell you the backstories of nearly every single member of this team. So you really get to know their personalities and exactly why they belong on this team. But one member I do want to highlight because of his importance to plot is Black Ranger Dylan. Dylan starts off the show in the wilderness, and he has, for some reason, Venjix technology that gives him a huge power boost. But he has amnesia, so he has no clue why he has it. I also want to highlight Dr. K and also Gem and Gemma a little bit, as they're all connected. They were all taken by the government for a top secret project called Alphabet Soup that used genius kids for military uses. Dr. K created a virus to try and escape the government facility, but this led to the creation of Venjix. Gem and Gemma were thought to have died when Venjix first appeared, but they returned as the Gold and Silver Rangers. These 3 characters are shown to be a bit socially stunted due to their time separate from society. It's a bit more subtle with Dr. K compared to Gem and Gemma, but you can see it in all 3 characters. Let me talk a bit about one of the main villains in this show, that being a human-like robot named Tanaya. Later on in the show, it is revealed that Tanaya is the sister of Dylan and that she isn't a robot, but rather a human with cybernetic enhancements. She then joins the Rangers' side at the end and is saved by her brother. Most of the time, you know face value traits about the team, and maybe you learn a little bit more about 2 or 3 of the members, but here, the whole main cast matters. This is easily in contention for my favorite Power Rangers series, because you can tell that this was written as if the show was going to end. The show loves poking fun at different Power Rangers tropes. For example, Dr. K gets mad when people say the suits are made out of spandex, or Ziki points out that there's explosions behind the Rangers whenever they morph. But as I've said, the show allows itself to be dark, with its very premise being that most of humanity is dead. I've seen the occasional video on YouTube where it's what if Power Rangers super dark and edgy, and it always feels off, because it puts Power Rangers in a place that it doesn't belong. But this is a mature Power Rangers done right. If you haven't heard anything I've said in this video, watch Dino Thunder, and definitely watch RPM. The Disney era is a special time in Power Rangers. The show went from seemingly being important to Disney to practically just being dropped. But despite the show's viewership decline, budget cuts, and countless other things trying to take it down, in the end, Power Rangers survived. It's honestly a modern miracle that Power Rangers continued airing after this, but Saban got the rights back, and in the next video in the series, we'll look at the Neo-Saban era and see how it compares to each other and the Power Rangers series that came prior. I hope you all enjoyed today's video. That's gonna be it for now, and I'll see you all in the next one. Take care.